Who is to be blamed for starting World War I? Hello everyone, and welcome to a series of World's Most Important Events. Today we'll be discussing 5 important facts about World War I that you need to know. It was a global war. Over 30 nations declared war between 1914 and 1918. The majority joined on the side of allies including Serbia, Russia, France, Britain, Italy, and the United States. They were opposed by Germany, Austria-Hungary, Bulgaria, and Ottoman Empire, who together formed the Central Powers. What began as a relatively small conflict in Southeast Europe became a war between European empires. Britain and its empire's entry into the war made this a truly global conflict fought on a geographical scale never seen before. Fighting occurred not only on the Western Front, but in Eastern and Southeast Europe, Africa, and Middle East. It is far better to face the bullets. What exactly does that mean? The First World War was not inevitable or accidental, but began as a result of human actions and decisions. Over 65 million men volunteered or were conscripted to fight advanced citizen armies. Millions of civilians also contributed to the war effort by working in industry, agriculture, or jobs left open when men enlisted. Some nations were forced to surrender as their people, pushed to their physical and emotional limits, lost the will to continue fighting. The First World War was also a war against people. Invading armies committed atrocities against civilians in the areas they occupied. Attacks on civilians became increasingly common as each nation tried to break their opponent's home morale and diminish popular support for the war. Propaganda demonized entire nations and attacked the national characters of enemy peoples. It was a war of production national resources, as each combatant nation raced to supply its armed forces with enough men and equipment. In Britain, early failures in munitions manufacturing led to full government intervention in war production. These controls helped its industry produce nearly 4 million rifles, 250,000 machine guns, 52,000 airplanes, 2,800 tanks, 25,000 artillery pieces, and over 170 million rounds of artillery shells by 1918. It was a war of innovation. Advances in weaponry and military technology provoked tactical changes as each side tried to gain advantage over the other. The introduction of aircraft into war left soldiers and civilians vulnerable and attacks from above for the first time. Major innovations were also made in manufacturing, chemistry, and communications. Medical advances made the First World War the first major conflict in which British deaths in battle outnumbered deaths caused by disease. It was a war of destruction. The First World War left an estimated 16 million soldiers and civilians dead, and countless others physically and psychologically wounded. The war also forever altered the world's social and political landscape. It accelerated changes in attitudes towards gender and class and led to the collapse of Russian, Austro-Hungarian, and Ottoman empires. The cost of waging total war and rebuilding afterwards destroyed the national economies of both the victorious European allies and the defeated Central Powers. The human cost of the First World War for Britain saw the creation of a new language for remembrance, which remains to this day. It can be seen in war memorials in cities, towns, schools, places of worship, and workplaces, as well as in the rituals such as Remembrance Sunday and the 2-minute silence at 11 a.m. each November. The war had a profound impact on the world, causing massive human suffering, economic devastation, and political upheaval, and laying the groundwork for many of the conflicts of the 20th century. One of the most significant consequences of the war was the Treaty of Versailles, signed in 1919, which formally ended the war and imposed harsh penalties on Germany, including the requirement to pay reparation to the Allied powers and loss of territory. This treaty planted the seeds for future conflicts, as many Germans felt humiliated by the terms and sought revenge in the years that followed. The war also led to the establishment of the League of Nations, an international organization designed to promote peace and cooperation among nations. However, the League was ultimately ineffective in preventing the outbreak of World War II, which began just over 2 decades later. The war caused significant economic damage, with many countries facing high inflation, unemployment, and debt. The loss of life was staggering, with an estimated 16 million deaths, including military and civilian casualties, and many more injured. The war also felt many soldiers traumatized by the horrific conditions they had endured, leading to the development of what is now known as post-traumatic stress disorder, PTSD. Despite the devastation brought by the war, it also had some positive consequences. The war helped to elevate the United States and Japan to major world powers, as they were largely unaffected by the fighting and emerged with strengthened economies and increased global influence. The war also led to technological advancements in areas such as aviation, medicine, and communication. Its impact is still felt today, nearly a century later, and serves as a reminder of the need for diplomacy and cooperation among nations to prevent such disastrous events from occurring again in the future. Hope this video was a little help for you to know about World War I. For such more information, don't forget to subscribe my channel. See you in the next video. Bye bye.